Hi, we at Echo Connections recorded this next episode before the tragedy that unfolded in Uvalde, Texas. And we talk about a school shooting that happened May 21st in 1998. We just wanted to share our heartfelt thoughts and prayers with the community of Uvalde and with the emergency services providers and all of the people who have come together to try to figure out how to walk through this trauma. We hope that this episode gives a glimmer of hope that there is a way through the trauma. It may always be with you, but it does get better. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome to the Echo of Connections podcast with your hosts, me, Gabe Hansen, and my mom, Dawn Hansen, with our guest,
Tracey. We weren't sure if you wanted your last name.
I don't care.
Well, then we're going to do it.
Okay.
It's Tracey Komisar.
Yeah.
Or as my car calls her, Tracey Komisar.
Yeah.
Tracey Komisar.
Is that just the van or
Just the van.
Yeah.
Just
I
the
don't know
van.
why the van has this
It's
thing
got
for her.
such-
It really loves Tracey.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, you're going to introduce her?
Yes.
So.
Welcome to Echo Connections. And we are here with our first special guest in our studio. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. So excited. I was going to talk about the first time you and I met. It was across the table
Oh, at a job interview.
at a job interview.
Yes.
A formal interview, if you will, that we in the world of policing call an oral board, which sounds
That sounds
completely
great.
wrong.
So wrong.
Let's make that a permanent thing across the world.
Across the world, oral board.
Oral boards.
What
yes.
could go wrong, they said. So in police work, you have to have, because it's a government job that, are coveted, you have to have multiple people to make the decision to hire somebody. So we had me, another dispatcher, a sergeant, and an officer. And we had interviewed, I don't know, four or five comes to mind, other people. And all of them were not acceptable. And we knew that Tracey was coming in and that she had worked at the neighboring agency at the 911 center as a primary PSAP, primary point of contact for 911. So we were like, oh, somebody with experience who maybe knows how to talk to people and knows how to use the phone and knows how to use a radio and maybe knows how to do the computers. And so when she walked in, looking very professional, and she introduces herself and she sits down and we have a wonderful interview, and then I'll let her tell you the rest of the story.
Yes. In an oral interview, questions are asked by one employee, then another, then another. You go down the row and you answer every question the best you can. Try not to bullshit somebody too much. Well,
Makes sense.
the officer had asked a question. Can't remember what it is. All I know is that Dawn was on one side and the other dispatcher was on the other side of said officer. Officer asks his question. I start to answer. In the midst of my answer, he leaps forward with his eyes bigger than I've ever seen.
Aruga!
Can I swear?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm still talking. However, in my head, I'm like, what the fuck? What just happened? Oh, shit. Keep answering the question. What was I answering again? Did I lose what just happened? What's happening right now?
Wait, what did he do exactly?
He jumped forward.
Like physically
Jumped, grabbed the table, his eyes bigger than saucers, and I thought he was coming after me for something. However, I'm in an interview.
Yeah.
Keep it professional, right? I wanted out of my former job. He leaps forward. I keep talking. Finally, I just end it because I figure, I don't think this is going anywhere.
And I think you asked.
I said, does that answer your question? He's like, oh, yeah, we're good. I think we're done here.
So wait, just one question, it was done, or
No, this is like the very last question of the, or maybe second to last question.
Yeah, it was, you guys had already been down the row once I think. Yeah.
And so it was the second time through the list.
good.
Yeah.
So what
I
didn't know, and what she didn't know until, so she says, okay, thank you. And, she walks out the door, obviously a little bit bewildered.
And the sergeant asked me, how do you think you did? And I said, I don't think I got it. Thank you for your time, though. But it was weird. And it was the best drive home where I was like, oh, God, what did I say? What did I do? I have no idea how I answered that question or what it was.
Those are the best answers.
Yeah.
So when the sergeant comes back in the room, we are like, what happened? Well, apparently my coworker dispatcher who was sitting on the other side of the officer had put her hand on his knee and had started moving it up forward, which had startled him based on where she was aiming. And so in the midst of that physical maneuver, it was a joke because we already knew we were going to hire Tracey because she was clearly the most qualified, clearly the most, she answered 2 questions and we're like, yeah, could you start tomorrow? Could you just put on the uniform? Let's go.
Did everyone else who was interviewing for that position at the time just not have prior experience?
Yes.
See, that makes it an easy decision, I think.
Well, and I plus
if they fit personality wise and they've got the already qualified to work.
Oh gosh, yeah. And there's something to be said. How many years had you been at 911?
12 years.
12 years.
Oh, I mean, then you're already a veteran.
And what is your typing speed?
Well, last time I tested, it was over 120 words per minute. So
I don't even know what mine is.
So
nobody does anymore.
I might crack 80 on a good day. So when she sat down to type I think one of your first days that I worked with you, all you could hear was and we were like, oh my gosh, she can type like the wind. Do you hear that over there? And so excellent call taker. Tracey's so good with people. She keeps a great tone on the phone. She asks great questions. And then she has the mastery of what we call cupping.
Oh, I did master the art of cupping. Yes.
What is that?
It's when you need to take a breather from a caller. However, you don't want to put them on hold. So you just cover your microphone up with your thumb.
Oh.
Many years of testing, quality control.
Yeah.
You find out exactly what you can pull off with that.
So you have a little Tourette's moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe you've had to ask the same question of this person 10, 12, 13. This is called repetitive persistence.
Yes.
So this is something that you need to work on.
Apparently I do.
Oh. I'm sorry, short answer?
Short answer, Dave.
I don't get it, but I'm laughing anyway.
So that's the other thing that happens when we work together. We work together. How many years have you been with us now? Have I worked with you?
Oh, boy. It's been 17 years now.
Wow.
17 years. Oh, my gosh.
I know.
In some ways, I can remember your interview like it was yesterday.
It feels like it.
To say 17 years is shocking.
Yeah, but then a shift can seem like 17 years as well.
Well, and we work together oftentimes the same shift for 9 to 12 hours a day, depending on our overtime shifts, and for 2 to 3 days a week for 17 years. So that's been you and me.
Wow.
We've worked graveyard together. We've worked day watch together. We've worked night watch together. And on graveyard, obviously, you get a lot of downtime, so you got to figure out your hobbies and what we do and what we enjoy. So that's kind of fun. We have deep talks. We have lots of deep talks.
Very deep.
Very deep.
Yeah, because you get it. You get each other.
Yeah. We're closer than, like you were saying, we spend more time together than we do with our own.
With our family.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're unconscious with family.
So. Right. Just with your family.
Yeah.
And we have lots of little jokes, things that'll never get old. That's the list. We have a list of things that'll never get old.
Yes,
so if
we
I have
do.
to cut a bitch in the name of Jesus, she knows exactly what that's about.
See, I think my generation call them like memes. You know,
Okay.
You got your own meme, like
We
in your
do.
group.
Okay. Thank you for the translation, because we just call them things that'll never get old.
I believe the terminology of like you got your own meme for your group. It's just an inside joke.
An inside.
I think it's just a
okay.
different way of calling it an inside joke.
I did not know that.
I didn't. We're old.
We're so
At least that's how
old.
my
Forgive
friends.
us. We're
That's how my
way
friends
old.
treat it. At least
That's your
like
wording.
we've got our go-to like memes that we've made like ourselves, right? And
Totally.
they're just sort of inside jokes.
That's us.
Let's start doing it then.
We have a lot of them. I was thinking about trying to keep a list.
Try to document your memes.
Oh, we should.
Because there's just so many of them. There's a video out there and make it so dry for you.
Oh, so dry.
So a lot of
Like
them.
sand.
What?
Sand. This woman is. It's a video
Yeah.
on YouTube
Yeah.
we'll have to figure out what it is. I'll put it in the notes for this.
Oh, you guys had
podcast.
found it on YouTube, and
This has been years ago. This has probably been 12. We were in the old building, so it might have even
that's a
been
long time ago.
15 years ago.
yeah.
And it's a video on how to give the best blowjob.
Oh, the grapefruit technique.
Nope.
Nope.
Sand. Dry. So
Sand.
dry for you.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to compare.
Yes. It's
Everyone,
grapefruit. Okay.
everyone has the grapefruit technique.
Oh, well, okay. We'll put that in the notes
we'll
for this
need to learn.
podcast, too.
We don't need to learn that though.
What's funny about that video is it's on YouTube, right?
yeah.
Because it's nothing's like, So what we would do at school is we'd pull that up and sync them across all of the computer labs.
Oh,
I love
the
it.
evil genius that is the computer kid.
I feel really bad for any teacher who has technology in the classroom, like a computer lab, because kids are going to fuck with it.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's totally true.
Like someone had got a hold of the parental control password and had set the default homepage when you open up Chrome or any of them to Pornhub.
I love it. I love it. Can you imagine?
The amount of people who probably just use that, not small.
So I welcome Tracey here because one of the things that I was getting and thinking about this whole process of having her come be our guest, I was thinking of some of my most favorite things about Tracey and some of the most favorite things that have happened with Tracey. We've worked some really crazy calls together, and we've worked as in tandem as a team and for 17 years. Who knew?
Yeah. Long time.
It's a long time. Yeah.
It is a long time. And one of the best things about Tracey that I could think of is Cake Day. Cake Day
Oh.
was a couple years ago.
You're gonna have to explain to me what cake day
I will,
is.
because everybody should have a cake day. I swear. What it was, as I love cake. I don't know if anybody else does.
Just
love
a
cake
little.
as well.
Yeah.
I love cake, but if you're a pie person or a cookie person, any of these things would fit. But for me, it's Cake Day. So I was feeling kind of I really don't want to go to work, and I'm so tired, and
Oh,
don't
so you're
want
normal?
to do it. Maybe.
Yeah, that's the norm. Yeah.
It was particularly potent for a while going through divorce. And somewhere in the middle of that, I came to work and there were streamers and there was a welcome to work sign. And then there was a cake. And she's like, thank you for coming to work. And you get a cake. And I was just like, it wasn't my birthday. It wasn't a holiday. It wasn't, it was just because, right? And it has stuck with me so much so I started a training where we were talking about peer support, and we were talking about things that peers have done for us over the years that really have helped, and so that we can take them back to our other peers. So I declared that as a cake day because I just thought everybody loves cake day. Everybody loves cake. Just to say from Shrek. So I talked about it at that training, and everybody wrote down Cake Day. Everybody loved the idea of Cake Day. I'm like, Tracey Komisar's Cake Day. It's her thing,
Day.
yo.
And it was nothing. It was nothing to me. It was just welcome to work.
What made you even think of it? That's what I was wondering.
I opened the door, found a thing of the pink streamers. Yeah. And I said, let's welcome Dawn to work.
That's awesome.
Why not?
Awesome.
I wish school had that.
Right.
Welcome to school.
Thanks for coming to school today.
Yes.
But yeah.
And then, let's see. The other thing is Tracey has a special ability, I believe, in calling something bullshit. Nobody says bullshit like Tracey. If something, like she'll hear a story or he'll hear what happened, and then she'll say,
No, bullshit.
yep, bullshit. It's just special bullshit she does. And then everybody needs to know about Spree.
Oh, there's a song for everything.
There's a song for everything.
Yes.
What?
Yes. So when we're at work, when we're in our element, just doing our own thing, we'll be going along, and something will happen, and we'll decide that there's a song for that. So it could be It's a Beautiful Day, or it could be, gosh, what are some of our favorites? We have so many go-tos.
Let It Go seems to be
Let
the
It
most
Go.
popular.
Yes, from Frozen.
Oh, I'm familiar.
Yeah. Are you? Are you sure?
I think everyone in the world's familiar with
Let it go.
Let it go.
Maybe we're not as good as the girl in Ukraine, the little girl.
I don't know about that. I think we're pretty good.
Pretty good.
She
We're
was off key.
amazing.
Oh, well. So we decided that whenever we do, we also do our own songs. Like we've written some for the Springfield, I wasn't sure we're saying that. Anyway, Spree, the musical.
Spree the musical.
Spree
yes.
the musical. Strippers and hoes.
Oh, yeah, you
Strippers
told me
and
about this
hoes.
already. Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
all love our strippers,
Strippers
and
and
hoes.
We're amazing.
It's totally true.
Yeah.
Our coworkers have, a few of them are okay with it. A few, perhaps.
I believe I've gotten everybody there to sing now.
With us.
At least once.
Yes, totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just, I can't imagine doing like that much of a serious job and then being a serious person.
Yeah.
Oh, not
sounds
even
like
for
a-
a second.
No.
No, you
It's like a
can't.
terrible combo.
Right. Right.
Like the most uptight, serious person being a police officer, just
Right. You have to have that dark sense of humor and somewhere goofy to go. You have to have goofy
Right? I'm
and
like-
dark to
Yeah.
go.
yeah, laughter is medicine.
Absolutely.
It is. And that's why you have to laugh after a lot of stuff you hear. Because
Oh,
it's
man.
just not normal.
No, totally not normal. Right. Totally.
Or is it too normal? And that's the problem
Ooh.
because you're dealing with the darkest side of people.
It's going deep now.
Oh, I guess he's going esoteric on us.
Well,
Deep questions by Gabe
this
Hansen.
does happen when I get high. So
Oh Lord, here we go. What do you have any favorite moments you wanted to share? Favorite I don't mean to put you on the spot. You can think about it, but
well, we asked this question. I think I asked this question to you. What's your most memorable day on the job?
Oh, my most memorable day would be the Thurston High School shooting.
Oh shit! You worked that?
Yep, I was working at 911. And it's the one and only call that I feel guilty about
Oh,
for no reason.
what
It's not justified. I was supposed to be going on vacation. I was supposed to be getting off of work. Saw everybody coming up, getting relieved. I'm like, okay, a few minutes and I get to get out of here. Nobody relieved me. So I asked the supervisor, who's my relief? She said, you signed up for overtime. No,
oh,
I didn't.
that sucks.
My coworker signed up for overtime under my initials as a joke and forgot to take it off the board.
Oh,
So I was a little pissy.
yeah.
A little pissy. Frank and I didn't even have a cell phone yet.
Oh right.
Frank was working till noon. I was supposed to be off. I was even parked out on the street and got a ticket this day, but
That's
yeah, it's just stupid
Wow.
little things. But I'm sitting there, pissy to be at work, and then all of a sudden the phones start ringing.
yeah.
And at that point, I believe we had 33 911 lines.
Whoa.
And you could tell that where they were coming from different parts of Lane County. And
yeah.
you could see Springfield was getting hit. And it was like, okay, what's happening? First call gets entered and it says shots fired, cafeteria at Thurston High School. And I
Yeah.
said, it's a senior prank. They're having senior breakfast.
Because this was in May
Yeah.
of 1990.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
joke. It's a prank.
what year did it happen?
1998.
1998.
Yeah. So the phone lines start lighting up from
Yeah, so-
Springfield, and then what?
The first call gets entered. I'm convinced it's a prank.
Yeah, because
And actually, it was a lone call that came in first. I'm sorry, I got that wrong.
real cell phones. So yeah.
Exactly. And then so it was that lone line that came in. I called bullshit, inaccurate. Then every single line lit up to the point where I was working a radio position that usually didn't help with phones unless something major was happening. And that's when I had to start helping.
Yeah.
And my caller said, lady, you got to get some cops out here. I've got kids running in saying that their friends have been shot. They've got blood on them. Get somebody here now.
Yeah.
And that's when it struck home. It's like, shit, it's real.
So-
It's real.
And so when it becomes real to you, what's the next thing that happens for you?
I just shift into work mode. It's, you turn off your emotions. You do what you have to do. And since you don't see TVs until recently, people will want to watch it. I don't want to watch that. It could be a training exercise. Let me be in my own mind. It's not real. And then to drive home that day after, making a million phone calls, hearing things that you never want to hear when you're at work, a medic report. We're en route to your facility with a 16-year-old with a gunshot wound to the frontal lobe. It's sad to hear that.
Yeah.
But driving home that day, and I lived out by Thurston High School, seeing absolutely nobody on the right drive home except for cops coming back, detectives, and then just sort of sitting there for, a half an hour to an hour waiting for my husband to get home. He walks in. He has no idea what's happened.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there crying.
Yeah.
It's done. I can't believe this happened. And to tell him the story. And within those few days to have, the president of the United States is flying in. We have black
yeah, I forgot about
helicopters. We have all this stuff. It's national news, all that. I felt guilty because I didn't believe the first call. Nothing to feel guilty about.
No.
I didn't do anything. It didn't change anything.
No.
Yeah, because probably by the time you got most of the calls, it was already over.
The shooting part.
Because he got stopped by
the kids.
there, so like, already, like no matter, it would have been. Yeah.
But it's interesting what we find. Somebody had the analogy I heard recently where what is the spoon that's stuck in your garbage disposal?
Oh.
And to me,
good analogy.
yeah, absolutely. Because do we all understand the first time you're like, school prank? Absolutely. We all go, and that's what one would hope. I mean, right? That's what we all are like, it's a school prank. That's what we hope happen.
Yeah.
That's what we want to have happen. We don't want any of this to be real.
Well, exactly. And they had just gone through Jonesboro, Kentucky,
That's
I
right.
believe.
That's right.
And I remember sitting at the break table with a bunch of cops that would come in and sit with us on our breaks. And one of them saying, "Can you believe that?" And I said, "Yeah, it'll never happen here."
Oh,
Famous last words, huh?
oh,
Yeah.
And then
Chilling.
how soon after that was Thurston. So,
wow.
And then,
yeah.
but because like before those, there wasn't much, right? Like school shootings.
Oh, well, we had Columbine. Was that before
was
or
later.
after?
That was
Columbine
after?
was after,
Dang.
yeah. They had the little ones that made,
Yeah.
Yeah.
nationwide news.
They wouldn't
However,
anymore.
what they don't. And
That's sad.
It is sad.
it's what Frank pointed out. My husband pointed out, living back east, there's school shootings almost every day.
Yeah.
And you don't hear about it, unfortunately, in
That's crazy.
Isn't that?
schools down in California. Same thing.
It's. I think we're
We're very lucky here.
Well,
Right. I
well,
said it.
yeah, no, you
Yeah.
said it, right. I just remember that day. I think that was such a great description of you, like bullshit, and then oh god, it is real. I've had those moments where I'm like, please, and then when the reality hits,
Yeah.
there is a mode. I feel like it compartmentalizes. Like, nope,
Well, you
can't
disassociate.
Disassociate.
You have to.
and the disassociation is so.
There's no way you could have an emotion about
No.
what's going on in the moment,
absolutely
and then
not.
still be like, like helping,
Right.
and like moving shit along.
And officers do that out on the street, that they can't deal with, they see it, they're touching, they're
Yeah.
helping. And so we get to see kind of how they react. And I think one of the things that's not understood or maybe hasn't been talked about very much is that in the 911 world, emergency services on the dispatch end of life. So we'll have all those calls. You get to a point where things are stabilized, for lack of a better word. And then we sort of have to go back to business as usual. And some of the hardest moments I've had is when I can think of a couple different major incidences, and then it's back to answering the phone. And I have to be nice to the person who wants to yell at me because there's a parking problem on their street. And my compassion level for that person,
It'd be so hard not to lose it.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that is when my patience is at I'm just keeping it together. Like
Yeah.
I'm just maintaining till I can get to a moment where we can have some emotional release. Mm-hmm. And it's the barking dog. It's the dispute with the people who are fighting over property. It's
Yeah.
the
Like a fence line, right, or something like that.
yeah, or
Yeah.
we get the same calls over and over and over again, different players, but we get the same calls over and
Yeah.
over and over again. The kid that's out of control, the parent who wants us to come and parent the child, or whatever the issue may be. Normal day, we roll with it, we work with them, but after a major event, it's so hard to be patient.
It's very hard. And I've had people kill themselves on the phone with me before, shoot themselves on the phone. And then somebody say, "Hey, are you going to get that non-emergency line?" Well, I'm kind of sitting here with this guy taking his last breath, but sure, I guess you're busy.
I guess I'll put this on hold while
And, yeah.
Jeez.
And so put it on hold and pick it up. And there's been a car parked across my house for the last 2 weeks. Well, I hope it
Call to
doesn't
truck.
belong to the guy that's on the other line.
It's gonna be there a while longer.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Can't park it from beyond. They'd be great.
Horrible people.
Horrible people. But that's where we find our humor. The dark moment,
You have to.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, the guy who takes his life, you're like, sad.
It's already over.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's happened.
It's
like,
happened.
you can't
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
it now. Like,
That's true. Cake's already
Yeah.
baked. So, as a result of all of these wonderful things that you've been through, and how many years now in dispatching?
29 years.
29 years.
Yeah.
you've been doing it for.
28.
Ooh.
I know. She's ahead of me.
Wheelchair sisters.
Actually, what we really are is bunker bitches.
We are bunker bitches supreme.
I was going to
yes.
bring it up earlier, but I wasn't sure.
Oh, yeah. We are totally bunker bitches. One of our moments that I think we had a solidarity, a unity with our officers, a unity with the people of our department was during 2020.
Oh,
The dumpster fire that was 2020.
yes.
And just to put a little fact in this, that was what our first recorded podcast was about.
Was 2020.
Was about 20.
Oh.
That's what it turned into be, because like we were going over like how much stuff happened in that year, because there's COVID, there's fires, there's the riots, and the
Oh, the holiday fire, the Thurston holiday, or was there something else?
Yeah.
What am I
I don't
forgetting?
know.
Anyway,
a lot of stuff happened in 2020.
2020 was quite the year.
Yeah.
And-
COVID, we're locked in, and
Yeah. So we, so Tracey and I and a couple other dispatchers were all working when I don't know what group was coming. Was it BLM and Antifa and
yeah, Black Unity and
Black Unity,
Antifa.
Antifa, and I think there was potential for some other group that we didn't know.
Somewhere from Portland, they were
Yeah.
coming to get us.
They were coming to the specifically
Oh, yeah. I
to
thought
our
about that,
department, and when so we had to park our cars in a different area because our cars were not secure in the fenced area because you can throw things at them.
That right there is funny. You have a secure parking area.
We do.
That is not secure. Park your cars on the street somewhere else.
Yeah, we parked actually.
Like
in
that's so like. What's the point of the secure parking
well, I guess
area?
there's a gate or a fence, but you can
I've
still
seen
lob.
it,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
you
like-
can still lob stuff over.
It
is
only
what we-
takes 20 minutes to open or close said gate.
It's like
Please
an,
make a note of it, right?
it's like the Austin Powers steamroller. No.
Well, also the fence doesn't have anything like on it. Like,
Yeah.
To stop like people
It's
from just.
pretty.
It's a normal fence.
It's pretty fence.
Oh, people have made over
Yeah.
that fence
I'm
a
like,
couple
it's,
times.
It's a
yeah.
normal fence. It's not like you guys have like like
Barbed
prison
wire,
fences
yeah.
with like the razor wire at the top.
Byzantine or whatever. So but one of my memories is with Tracey over. We're watching Facebook feeds because that's where we would get the information about where the protests were, what they were saying, who they were chanting about, and our chief at the time came in there and was just really rallying all of us. Like, we got this, you guys. We got this. And we're like, there's 3 of us here at dispatch. There's a group of, I don't know how many people.
I think they said 400?
Yeah.
400 to 600.
God,
Marching
Yeah.
around the police department, like around where we're
They
at.
have us surrounded.
did they really?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they were chanting.
All cops are bastards.
They were telling officers the horrible things they wanted to do to their families, to their wives, their children,
to them.
to them personally.
Female officers were
Oh,
really
my
God.
victimized, as were our
course.
officers of color.
Yep. And they were
Yeah,
just
of course.
targeted. But, and then we would get phone calls from people. And I think, was it you that took the call about the bunker bitches? Somebody
No,
took a
I
phone call.
wish.
What?
It wasn't me. I thought somebody took a call from somebody who's like, "Oh, I bet you guys think you're just all safe in there being bunker bitches." And
Oh, yeah, okay.
I
That's the-
don't remember
is that the
who it
origin
was.
of it?
Well, it actually started on a meme.
Yeah, it was a riot in some other state. I want to say Kentucky.
Yeah, or
Somewhere
Minnesota.
south, I thought.
Yeah.
And they said, F you cops and your bunker bitches too.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's
I think
like,
I maybe have heard that.
Yeah.
it's like, all right, We're running with that one.
Yeah,
right? Like,
we were like down with the bunker bitches, absolutely. So whoever took the phone call was like, hell yeah, I'm a bunker bitch. Don't you forget it.
Double B out.
Drop the mic.
yeah.
We were armed with baseball bats and fire extinguishers. We were ready.
Yeah.
And that because that was after the records division up in Clackamas. Was it Clackamas that got broken into and destroyed? And the Portland Police Bureau was surrounded, and they were locked people in and set it on fire.
Yeah.
And so we were like,
Well, and then wasn't there a precinct in Seattle that got taken over for like a couple weeks?
I know there was a division area, like a block, but I don't know. It may have been. I don't remember that part. We were so entrenched.
Somewhere in the country that happened, I'm sure.
Absolutely. But we were so entrenched in our own drama. I didn't have time to think about other people's. I just did,
Yeah, I mean,
every
because
day was
you have a legitimate fear for your life.
Absolutely.
So I remember one time you had said something about, like, you were sure you were followed. Remember, you were worried about being followed at one point.
Yeah.
You, that was when you luckily had a car that wasn't registered to you at the time.
Yep.
You
That's
had
true. I did.
Nana's car, so you could take that. Yeah, I remember you had like legitimate life concerns for yourself.
Yeah, because I was leaving the police department one day. I was driving my mom's car, and we had a couple of odd things had happened, and they had mentioned taking off any markings on your vehicles that said you were a police employee.
Yeah, that was it too.
And which I didn't have any, but so this particular day I was leaving the police department. I think it was in the morning because I worked graveyard, and I was driving, and this car starts following me, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever, we're going the same direction, I guess. And then they cut in front of me on Franklin, an area where you wouldn't normally pass after you go through the roundabout to go towards the freeway, and they cut in front of me, and then they started slowing down and kind of brake checking. So we got to Nugget there, and I turned on Nugget.
Yeah.
I was like, forget this. I don't know who you are. I went up to the other I-5 entrance.
Nugget.
Or what you're
Nugget.
up to. Nugget.
What, is that the name of the
Street
street?
is Nugget Way.
Like Nugget Way?
Nugget Way.
Nugget Way.
Or wait, what is it? Is it Nugget Way?
Yeah.
We have to live there.
We're moving. We got to move.
We're going to live on Nugget Way.
Well,
If you saw it, you would.
No, I don't think you want that.
Actually, it's right next to the bread factory. So
It
maybe.
smells good.
wait, the Franz bread
Yeah,
fac-
yeah. It's right near there.
Look at it.
No, because like my go-to every time we have to name like a server if we're playing games, whatever. I call it Nuggetville.
No way.
Yeah,
Well, now you can go to Fran's Bakery on Nugget.
Nugget Way.
Nugget Way. Nuggetville.
Well, in Eugene, there's a street called High Street.
Yeah. Where the sign's stolen more than.
The sign is so. I saw on the Snapchat map once. There was a guy who had 5 High Street signs. I was like, I
How
want
high
one.
is he?
Well, what's funny is so like the route that we take to get to my friend's apartment, right? We drive by High Street every time. That pole, I swear they increased the height.
I'm sure they
to
did.
make it harder to steal the sign.
Oh, that makes sense.
They're probably like, that's
Yeah.
like thousands
Well, because
of dollars.
there was a
every
time out there where I swear they had a guy out there every day putting up a new sign for like 2 months straight.
How much that costs.
I'm like, stop doing it. Just leave it blank. Everyone knows there's no sign that's High Street.
And they can go a block and see another sign. That'll work.
Going another
But
high.
that's
sign.
another street sign I want. Nugget Way. I want that street sign. One of these nights I'm going to have to drive around and just start stealing street signs.
Oh, no.
I didn't hear that.
Right.
What?
No, you know what's funny? You can have them made.
Yeah. Really
Oh, that's
easily.
true.
You could just
Duh.
legally go to a place and just, hey, can I have a sign that says Nugget Way? That sounds funny.
Just
You don't even have to go anywhere to get it.
just have it Amazoned in.
But,
I didn't even know that was a thing. So the other, I as part of all of this,
yes, back to
back to
reality.
what we actually do. I would imagine that you have some trauma.
Just a little.
Yes.
Just a
Tiny,
smidge.
tiny.
Thurston, a guy shoots himself while you're on the phone with him, and that's
I was not expecting that, because when I asked you your most memorable day, it was this day the fire started. So I'm like, I'm sorry, but that sounds a lot worse.
you
Tracy's
win.
sounds a lot
Oh,
worse.
yay.
Yes.
Yeah, your trauma's greater. Good job.
Thank God, yeah.
Here's a
The
trauma
Mistress
award.
of Doom.
First place award to the highest trauma goes to Tracy.
You get a pony.
You get a pony. So I went to a training where we were talking about wellness and how to do better, be better. to quote one of our favorite officers.
We talked about that as well, I think,
Yes.
right? So, yeah.
Do better, be better. And I had the wonderful fortune of seeing Dr. Stephanie Conn speak about her book, Increasing Resilience in Police and Emergency Personnel, Strengthening Your Mental Armor, which, if anybody ever gets a chance to see her, please do. If you get to please get her book. If you were in anything that's close to trauma work, policing, dispatch, fire, whatever you're in, because this lady has some great credentials. First of all, she was a dispatcher. Her dad was a cop. She married a cop. She became a cop. Then she's like, hey, boy, there's a lot of broken people in this world, and became a psychologist. And this book is
That's
amazing.
impressive.
She's a godsend.
A godsend.
She is.
Yeah.
She's a gift.
And Tracey and I had during one of our times when we got to just chatting between calls, because we're really good at being interrupted and then picking it back up in the middle. And
Oh, yeah. We're
yeah.
always right on task.
oh, the warrant info, hold please. For anybody listening, sorry about that warrant delay. Maybe we were chatting.
It got done.
Right, eventually.
Nobody died.
These things happen.
This time.
Yeah, this
time.
But we ended up, I just opened up Stephanie Conn's book, and I told Tracey about the training and how wonderful this lady was and just all of the different things that she brought to the table. And I found this section on burnout, and we started reading about what burnout is and how burnout, how we act, what changes about our behavior. And I think you get to share the next part.
If there were 10 symptoms, I had 11.
Wow.
And I always thought I was just the old, burned out bitch. That's what happens when you reach your time, you're just done. But I never blamed it on the job or anything like that, because I roll with it. But now it's like, oh, I am a glowing example of burnout. So
does that, like, realizing that you've got all those, does it help you deal with it?
it did with me. It did
Yeah,
for me, because
That's what I find with, like, almost
Yeah.
everything. Like, it deals with your mentalness. Knowing about the problem
exactly.
helps you deal with it.
Yeah, seeing it in writing, which
Yeah.
I've never seen it before, because get over it. It's not your trauma. That person had to go through that. It's not normal to hear this on a daily basis, nor is it normal to send people to possibly get killed.
Yeah.
It's just not in the norm. And to hear the whining and complaining, the pain, the frustration, all of that, you don't realize how much you actually take on
Yeah.
without wanting to or meaning to. But Stephanie Conn just puts it right out there, and to read it,
She really.
I felt elated that day. I talked to my husband on the way home. I said, I get it now. It's not just me. It's it's a condition. I get it now.
See, I feel like I was saying that to you the whole time. Was it?
Isn't that funny how it takes
I
multiple ways, multiple times, multiple. It's not like burnout is a new word,
I
right?
wrong?
We all know. No, you're right.
okay, because I'm just like, I feel like, because
No, and it really does come down to sometimes, like, God, just give me a sign. I need a sign, and you're like, wow, could it be burnout? And
There's a
you're
sign
like,
dropped in front
no.
of you?
Where's the sign? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Could it be burnout? Please. Then you read a book that says, hey, you know what kind of can happen to you? And she puts
you
it
can
in
get
a
tired
different
of the job.
And then she'll say, is it burnout? And you're like, you know what? That third sign. I needed the third sign, or the fifth
Yeah.
sign, or the 15th sign, or the 15th time somebody goes, could it be burnout?
Yeah. Well, when I tell another coworker about it, because now I'm trying to encourage. I'm trying to encourage especially our younger employees. Don't
Yeah.
get like this. Be healthy for yourself. Do this. Reach out. Read this book. I've told 3 or 4 employees now, read this. Trust me. I wish somebody would have pointed this out to me years and years ago. So it's kind of my goal to not allow any of the young ones to get to this point.
And what I think was amazing was, so we have this deep talk, and you went home, and then you came back to work the next day, and you said, we're going to need a Kleenex. You're definitely going to need a Kleenex for this next talk. And I'm like, wow, I don't think she's ever told me that before. When did she ever told me I need a Kleenex for the conversation? And then you said, are you ready? And I was like, I think so. I had a Kleenex. I was ready. And then what did you say?
I just said, thank you. You changed it. You were the reason that I figured it out. I finally saw it in writing. It was enough to tell me that it wasn't just me.
It wasn't just you.
It's not just me. And that's what I guess I needed to see.
And I think we were both, as we were reading through the list of the symptoms, we're like, yep, got that one. Yep, got that one. I'm flipping through the book trying to find the list of symptoms, and for whatever reason, I'm like, where is it?
Yeah.
So did that rock like your whole boat then?
It did.
Yeah.
It did, because I want out. I'm ready to retire.
That's where Dawn is too.
However, right now, I've let so many things go that I can't control and that I no longer am worried about. I'm just letting it go, and that's part of
Recovering.
and
Now-
healing.
Help me do that for her, for Dawn, because she struggles with this.
Do struggle with letting it go.
Because like I've been telling you to like just I can't explain how to do it. So people have asked me, because I'm pretty good at letting things go, and people have asked me like, how do you do that? I'm like, that's just part of like whatever. Part of being whatever is whatever. So what I mean is like it's hard to learn how to let things go, but once
Yeah.
you do, part of just being able to let things go becomes being able to let things go.
Oh, like it's a train that keeps rolling.
Yeah, it's
once
just
you
like a
start on it.
snowball where you just
A
get
snowball,
better at
there you
doing
go.
it, and if you don't stop said snowball, it becomes an avalanche. You just start going, whatever,
It's
a little
true.
too much.
There's too
Which
much.
is where I'm
letting go.
going. I'm stopping the avalanche now.
So just to give people who might be listening an idea of some of the burnout symptoms that Tracey and I remember, she said if there's 10, I had 11.
Yeah.
So for physical, there's different characteristics. There's physical, emotional, and mental. And this is straight from Stephanie Conn's book on page 115, in case I need that later. She says physical is chronic fatigue, headaches, backaches, heart palpitations. The next one is emotional, which is a loss of interest in work. Right. Aggressiveness, cynicism.
Not me.
No.
Cynicism.
Right.
No,
Everything.
I did dictionary definition for that, because
Cynical, like you're just everything. Well, of course that's not going to work out because everything is always ruined. Well, of course it's just not going to,
see, I
yeah.
sort of equate that to pessimism as well.
Well, yeah, I might not be
It's-
doing a very good job of defining cynicism.
I agree, though. It's
Well, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but I'm saying
Yeah.
it very similar to.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
definitely
Oh,
negative.
right there, right there.
And then the next part is mental. Feeling of worthlessness, incompetence, self-blame, slower thinking,
I might be burnt out.
yeah.
and cognitive fog, which up until very recently, I didn't really know what cognitive fog was, but here in the last year,
Burnout.
totally.
That sounds like what I would like by the end of high school.
Oh, there you go.
That is
Oh.
exactly how I felt. Just under
done.
the like, as like every year in high school, I just feel like I was getting under more and more fog.
Yeah.
Because by the end of high school, I was so fucking done.
It's so interesting that you should say that. So I then spoke with a lady who is my counselor because I do believe in mental health and needed a counselor. I talked to her because she's one of those very wise people, and I was saying, is there a word that explains that sense of relief and that sense of whatever that sense is when you have the word that defines what's wrong with you? Like when we all went burnout, that's it.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying, like knowing a name
euphoric.
for it is a relief.
It is.
And
I would say
accepting that.
euphoric.
Euphoric. Well, that's the experience, but I'm like, is there a word for when you finally get the knowledge of what it is and go,
It just clicks in your head.
yeah, and it makes things easier. Somehow to me, it makes it easier because it's like you said, it's not just me.
Yeah, it was relief. I was relieved. And when I drove home, you know the rule. There's no crying in dispatch.
Right.
Have you ever seen me cry in dispatch?
Nope.
That day, we both cried.
We did.
We both cried.
We did.
There was crying in dispatch.
And it was a
Fucking
relief.
losers.
It was.
Crying.
It was relief. I've actually cried quite a bit.
Yeah, I've never cried in dispatch. It's just a rule. Not that any of you have seen.
No. Right.
I mean, this means you're really good at leaving your emotions at the door.
Yeah. She checks to work and the boxes are,
Yes.
now we're in work mode. Ding.
Which is probably part of burnout.
It truly is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it sounds like it would go hand in hand.
That compartmentalization that we do absolutely is part of burnout.
Well, and when you're at work, you're there for work.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not there, thinking about how I just told my husband to go fuck himself and how somebody on the road just pissed me off. And I may not like a few people at work, but
The coworker just, what?
when we're at work, it's all about taking care of the people, taking care of our cops,
Doing
especially.
our cops. And that it's what you, I want to go back to what you said earlier, because I think that there was a point that you were saying, and then sending people to go deal with something that could potentially take their life.
Yeah, that'd
That-
be hard, man.
That is the nutshell exactly of what it's like to be a dispatcher. People that you know really well. You've known them since they were kids when they started at 21.
Yeah.
They're now 40. Sending them off to calls where you're like, oh dear God, I hope this works out okay. And
Well, it sort of sounds like you're like a general, like marching army, because you know
Kind
how
of.
like you sit back and make battle
that sounds
plans.
a
or-
lot more important than we are, but okay, I'll
No, I'm
take
saying,
it.
I'm saying you guys probably could relate a lot to
Oh, a general.
to a
yeah,
general
okay,
because like he would direct his army, and if soldiers die, like that fucking sucks.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like you did that, like you sent them to their death.
I hope I didn't actually do that, but okay.
But no, what I'm
yeah, I
saying
know
is
what
like
you're saying.
Yeah.
that's what I think.
It's true, and I
That
think
would be hard. It'd be very hard.
it's a weird feeling too. Like once they are there, and there's sometimes that tense moment between the officers get there. There's some sort of tussle. There's some sort of fight. There's some sort of, we know something's going on. There's a click on the radio. There's a code 3 cover. There's some moment, and we all sort of collectively hold our breath for that period of time. And there's like a prayer. I don't know for you. I don't even know if it's a conscious thing. It's just a moment where we both go, we wait.
Yep.
We're all looking at the radio, waiting to see if we can see a click. Can we see who's saying what? And then let's say code 4-1 in custody, and we all go, whoo,
Exhale.
and then we
Yes.
take,
Hey.
and then we joke, and then we start
To
throwing
equate
jokes.
it, moon landing.
Okay. Oh yeah,
Same
yeah.
feeling, right? Because like they had a minute delay, so when they were going in for landing, they had to wait a minute. So you're like, hold
So
your
Ronnie
breath and-
Howard's movie, where they all like, there's everybody's in the booth and they all have their little special glasses on.
Yeah.
They're all watching
that's
and
you
waiting.
guys.
You can see the movie in your head. That's
Yeah.
us. We're like, code 4 in custody. Ah,
Yeah, definitely. Well, and add to that, our poor officers are exhausted.
absolutely.
Thanks to 2020.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a full group of cops on the street, and they're
Amen to
exhausted.
that.
It's hard to see them come on and they're already tired, and then you send them call to call to call to call to call, and then most recently the stabbing call that we had
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah.
ended up being a double homicide. It was
Intense.
a very intense call, and when you're tired, your cops are tired, and you're sending them into uncertainty.
Where we knew that the person with the knife was running after the person on the phone. It just didn't. That was
Yeah.
very
It's like
disconcerting.
straight out
Yeah.
of a movie.
And so Tracey and I were working that one, and I was on the phone. So you ended up having to hold your breath on your own because I was so tied into who I had on the phone, and she's listening to the cops and making sure they're all in the, they're all together and they know what's going on, and she's updating them with information as I'm providing it. That then I don't know. I'm disconnected enough. Like I'm in the room, but I'm so focused on the guy that I miss the part where you're like holding your breath while they. I can hear the officers on the phone saying, "Drop the knife! Drop the knife!"
Yeah.
So,
And then it's disheartening afterwards. They clear from that call.
oh yeah,
They need a breather.
Yeah.
They haven't even had a drink of water yet. And boom, they have to go to another call.
we have
were
a dispute.
but we were lucky. I don't know why. I think God watches over us,
think
but
so.
that we don't have back-to-back horrible calls like
Well, I think
that.
it's probably a bit population wise. Like you can't possibly have that many horrible calls going on at one time, right?
I don't know. We were talking about this one day, and I sort of think it's miraculous. There just definitely feels as if there is some divine intervention at times, because there are moments where you're like, wow, we are maxed. There's nothing more we can do right here. And the city will suddenly be quiet. It is the weirdest thing. I've seen that so many times. 28 years, I have seen that more often, that everything just kind of goes, okay, they've got enough. Then I've seen like, oh crap, we're going to have to call another agency because we are out of cops.
Well, look at our protests and riots.
Yeah.
So
Each time
we would have these huge, like 400, 600 people riots because there was protesting, which we all agree you have a constitutional right.
Absolutely.
You can speak your mind. I don't have a problem with people saying what they think about a political issue. When it would get dark is when that turned a corner and turned into what I feel were riots. So there's protests, constitutional right.
Yes.
And then there's riots. And we got to firsthand experience the riot part.
Yeah.
And as soon as it would turn that corner into riots, the rest of the city, it was incredible. We would not have those dispute calls. We would not have. So we had every cop possible surrounding our building to protect us and the building and what was going on inside. So we have 2 cops for the rest of the city. And for whatever reason, some divine thing would protect us. I don't know why, but it's true.
it happens almost every time. Almost every time.
would you say that 2020 had the amount of energy for the job drain of 5 to 10 normal years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's what it sounds like to me, is that you guys got advanced burnout because you guys just went through so much in 1 year.
Actually, that's pretty accurate. It almost feels as if like when the maple tree is tapped for the sap, like if that's your burnout quotient is how much is in that tree. It feels like
Just got,
2020 just went zip bang drain and 50 gallons came out.
Yeah.
I absolutely would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. We would walk in and say, "What's tonight?"
Right?
Because I think because we lived apart for a year there, the whole 2020. So I didn't get to see you during your terrible year, but
the year of terrible.
before that, you definitely had a lot more energy and enthusiasm for the job.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say enthusiasm, but
Yeah, at least
you're still enthusiastic about it to a certain degree.
I had a really great discussion about this idea of burnout. So for me, what I can visualize is a flame. Let's say there's a little inner flame.
Yeah, okay.
It could be Jesus that's in there. It could be whoever. It could be Buddha. It could be whatever your eternal flame is. And what it feels like is literally burnout is where that little lump of whatever is supposed to have the flame is suddenly down to nothing, and there's water on it. And so trying to get the water back out of it and then re-spark it, it feels exhausting. Just trying to get the spark. And then if I get the spark going, I've had this experience where I'm oh, hey, there's a flame. Okay, little flame. Somebody will come along and piss on my little flame.
Yeah.
And then I'm
So it's like trying to build a fire. You're like
come on, little flame, you can do it. You can do it. And then, so what I have found for me that has helped with burnout, and this is probably the OCD part that Gabe's seriously, maybe you should dial it back a couple notches, is I get enthusiastic about other things. I have to find some other flame. It's not
case in point what we're doing right now.
Exactly. Going to training where they talk about resilience and they talk about burnout and they say things like, you know what you need to do? You need to let it go. I'm like, what? I need to do what?
And then we start singing.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Come on.
Wait, I'm not doing it.
You're like,
I'm not doing it.
I'm
You
not
can't
doing
make me do it.
If I knew the next line of the song, I would do
you
it.
would have
Nobody knows. It doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't exist.
You make up your own
song,
lines.
right?
Yeah.
Welcome to Spree. Make up
Yeah,
your
that's
own
how
lines.
Spree goes. Jeez.
Tony Danza.
Yeah.
So dry for you.
So dry.
And one of the things that I got to learn about burnout today was that my counselor had pointed out that there's different levels to be aware of. And I thought this was really interesting, that there is a point in being burnt out where if people end up in the hopeless part, because they can keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. And then if there's a point where you're like, well, what's the point? This has now become hopeless, and we give up.
Yeah.
I've been there in that dark spot in lots of different ways.
I don't think I have been.
Let's hope not, right? Because that's a dark.
'Cause I-
Hopelessness is a dark.
Like when you're talking about burnout as a whole, like I understand.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but some of them there. And but I don't relate to that at all. So
Which is good.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing,
It's very good.
right?
Yeah.
That means
Hopeless ever?
I don't feel hopeless. The way I've decided to combat it is to help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my let it go, as you know, stuff at work, I've been turning around. I don't care anymore.
tells me
I
all
let
the
that
time.
go. You need to let that go.
She'll tell me that all the time.
No, you don't care.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
She
you
needs
have
that.
to.
Yeah.
She needs that.
We all need it.
Guide rails.
And instead, I'm focusing my energy on the younger employees. I don't ever want to see anybody as angry as I was, because I'm not angry anymore. This
That's
did
a
it.
miracle. That to me is a miracle. That's one of the things
Yeah.
I always want to try to find on our podcast is what are the miracles, and we have them. I mean, I swear we have them all the time.
Yeah.
That our moment together where you came back and you're like, you're gonna need a tissue, that felt like a miracle.
Well, Frank is now reading the entire book.
That's awesome.
He loves it. He first read the dispatch part, or the unsworn
Yeah, civilian
employee part, and he was like, okay. Then he went into the family part, and then I asked him to read the burnout part, and he's like, wow, you're not just a bitch. It all makes sense now.
You're a bitch with a coal that's burned out.
Yes. Cold and heartless.
That's so true. And I guess one of the other things that could happen with people who get burnt out is there's a potential in all of us to wait for somebody to come fix it. I don't think anybody that works in dispatch and anything, I don't think any of us but I don't think I see that. I think we deal with people on the phone who are waiting for somebody to come fix it, and
We're not like that. I don't think we're
Yeah.
those
It doesn't
magic waiting people
No.
that think that there's like a
pill that'll
yeah, an
fix it,
easy
an
answer or
easy
something.
answer.
We're
too real.
We're
Too real.
complicated people.
We're bunker bitches. We know how this rolls. You got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and find
do.
your own flame.
Yeah.
You guys are probably like seen too much to be that way,
Right? I think that's true.
and like experienced too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. Too much water under the bridge.
Yeah.
And I guess so here's some signs for total burnout, which I don't think either one of us have this, but I thought this was really interesting because I haven't read enough of the book to know like if it's in there. It might be, but it's an inability to feel. Like there's a point where people become completely cut off, dissociated, and numb,
No.
which is I think where hopelessness comes from, because if
Yeah.
you don't feel,
Yeah.
hopelessness is horrible. This so overwhelmed that we can't get out of bed. I've been there.
Oh yeah.
Where there's this moment where you're like, oh my God, I have to get up.
Well, sometimes pajama day can go for 3 days, but
No
we're
judgment.
We're
No
not going to
judgment.
judge anybody.
Well,
Some
and
of that sound familiar.
And I think one of the things we talked about that we're very similar about is just that desire in your days off to not go anywhere, not see anybody, not talk to anybody.
Exactly.
Just want to be in my little safe, comfortable corner, like COVID, where we had to. What was it? We had to sequester. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's quarantine
Quarantine. Where we had to quarantine. I'm
or
like
isolate. Probably.
isolate. That's the right
Isolate,
word.
yeah.
Isolate. I'm like, oh, sign me up. How does that work?
How do we get this benefit? Can I work from home?
My life didn't change.
You're like, I love isolation. That's how I live.
That's how I
I think
already
there's
live.
so many of us who are that way. We're like, isolation. Like, other people do something different? What is this?
I know. We heard of people working from home. We're like, where do we sign?
For 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
years.
but you just can't. Dispatch you just cannot.
Us bunker bitches gotta be in the bunker.
Gotta be there.
Gotta
The way
be in
the system is
bunker.
set up currently right now, you guys can't.
No.
Like
That's all right.
If they spent a ton of money, you could.
I think part of what helped me through 2020 is that we couldn't work from home. So I did get to work with you, and I did get to work with our coworkers,
Yeah.
because the people who have actually pulled me through every single one of the challenges of my life have been in that room.
Exactly.
And we, because of the camaraderie, because of the job, because we are bunker bitches, I have never found a better group of people ever
I agree.
to be in the pits together and then laugh like hell.
Mm-hmm.
To laugh
what
till
you
we
have
pee.
to do. Yeah.
That must be why you guys rotate through so many newer dispatchers,
It's a tough fit.
because you need to find the right person.
It
to
is a
puzzle.
tough fit. It is a very tough fit because it's not just about the job. It's about so much more. It's a career, but it's also a lifestyle. It's also it's a fabric thing. Like it's a very fabric of your soul.
It is. And I don't think, I could be wrong, but I really don't think there's dispatch centers out there that have the longevity of employees that we have.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, because
I mean, you're at 29.
29.
I'm at 28.
28, yeah.
Our two dispatchers who retired were over 35.
30, I thought it was like 35, 36
36
years.
Isn't that
Yeah.
longer than like your average cop and your average?
Average.
like,
Yeah, we're way above average.
Well, do you-
Average dispatch is
yeah, let's
supposed
see.
to be 3 years.
3?
When I applied to be a dispatcher over at the 911 center, it was on a joke. Because I was told, nobody gets hired the first time. And I'm like, "Pfft, you have to be a moron not to get hired the first time. So I applied as a joke, got hired the first time.
Because you type 90 million.
Well, and I thought it was fun. I thought the testing phase was a blast. I loved all of that stupid stuff. The role playing where they had the angry person call in. I loved that because I don't think I handled it the way they wanted to, but I handled it. It was, but
obviously well enough to get the job.
yeah. So 3 years there, and actually I was at year 5 when I said, "Oh, I should have left 2 years ago." But I loved it. I loved it. It was exciting. It wasn't a challenge for me at all. I rolled through call taking training, fire dispatch training, cross-trained over into police, which is the service channel, and then immediately asked, can I train on the primary channel so I don't lose skills at all? And I was the first one they allowed to do that fast. And usually you trained at police before you went to fire dispatch.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was just fun for me.
Yeah.
It came to you naturally.
It did.
Would you say it was fun for you at the beginning?
Oh, no.
Stuck with it for a long time then, huh?
No, I do agree. Well, so when I started, I didn't apply on a whim. I applied because I was working 2 jobs, and I'm like, holy cow, could I actually have a job where I only have to work 1 job and have benefits? What's happening? What's happening there? And when I got the job, I truly did not understand how people talk to the police. I didn't know people lied to the police. I didn't know people called. I was one of those people who was shell shocked. Absolutely, just like, what?
That's hard for me to take from you now.
From now,
like,
yeah, right. Yeah. So when I was, I guess I would have been 24 at the time. I thought people were nice. I really thought most of the world was relatively a nice place. I knew there were some bad things that happened. Don't get me wrong. I'm not Pollyanna.
I'm judging now because knowing your history.
Right.
How?
Right. He's like,
Amazing,
I'm
huh?
just that is not possible. Okay.
I know. Because there's some there. I don't know.
Naivety.
I think there's a bit of denial.
No, probably. Not just
time.
river in Africa.
Right.
As Nana would say.
Exactly as my mom says. So when I started working in what we did when I started in records and call taking, and so we would do data entry while taking phone calls, and the training was pretty abbreviated, and the calls that freaked me out the most when I first started were suicidal subjects, and so the world said, "And thou shalt take suicidal subject calls from the moment you're cut loose."
Hey, because it knew you were going to be a dispatcher for
Apparently
28 plus years.
Apparently so. So
you needed to cover that.
Oh my
weakness.
gosh. So yeah, I did that, and then when I was the first week I was cut loose on night watch. Every time that the day watch crew would leave, I would get this screaming physical dispute with a weapon. It happened. I swear to God, it happened every day to me for 2 weeks straight. And by this time I got to the second week, I would, like the first week, my hands would be shaking and I tried to be typing and I'm like, and like dispatchers are like, what are you trying to say? Because I don't understand the words that you're typing in the call. Who has the gun? Where did they go? What's happening? And I'm like, okay, get your shit together. One of these officers is going to get smoked because you're being a dumbass. Quit doing this. By the time it came to the second week, I had it.
Yeah.
I had it nailed. I was like, okay, I need to know who has the gun, where's the gun, what's happening. So I got good at that.
So that's the skill you've picked up then and you've stuck with.
Yes.
Because when you talk to me about your calls, that's the things you're going over is exactly that list.
Right? It never changes. It's really not that
It's
complicated.
routine. It's not.
This is repetitive persistence.
911 are the easiest phone lines to answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The
It's the
records,
non-emergency.
non-emergency lines. Oh, it could start at somebody's birth. At the beginning of time, I believe I saw a dinosaur. Oh God! Can we fast forward a couple?
Nutshell. Nutshell.
What is that what people like call in and say to you?
Oh, so they'll call in and want to tell you their life story. So, in 1957, when Harry and I moved into the house that we live, well, it's on J Street, but now we live over on F Street. Anyway, when we moved into the house, you're like, and why are you calling now? What does 1957 have to do with now?
Hey,
Yeah, I'm going to put you on hold for 5 minutes. I'll be back. You keep talking. I'll catch
Gather
up.
your thoughts.
maybe they just think you're glorified typists, and they're like, you're gonna copy our life story, huh?
Well,
Oh, glorified typist. That's a
been
thing that'll
saving-
never get
I'm
old.
saving that one in the bag. for
He
a while.
has been.
operators.
Operators. That's right.
Hello, operator.
Yeah, so when that was a thing, did anybody ever call in and say that?
Say what?
Did, like anybody ever call in and be like, operator, put me over on...
No, we
I always thought that'd be a fun prank call to do to 911. Never did it, obviously.
yeah, because they'd come beat your ass. But anyway, so
What were we talking
I
about?
like how you've come up with pathways out of burnout. I think that is the next piece of the miracle. There's like the miracle, the realization, the acknowledgement, finding the word, finding the meaning, really sort of, and then having Frank acknowledge and understand and agree. And then telling yourself and me and everybody else, let it go. That's not our, is it in my sphere of control? No.
Yeah.
Do I need to care then? Nope. It's not in my sphere of control. It's not my problem.
Exactly. And that's how I feel now. And like I said, I'm trying to put that out to the younger dispatchers, records people.
I think that's so good.
It's not worth it. Don't let
Channeling your
Let's do
energy
this.
into the
Yeah.
next generation, I think it's really good.
It's amazing. I've seen it. I've seen the younger, I've seen you talking to them and they come in to talk to you and they share and they text and they,
Yeah,
there's a connection there.
definitely.
There is a definite, and it's amazing to watch.
And like I said, Stephanie was a godsend to write.
absolutely was.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hope before I retire that I can actually meet her.
That is so. Yes, that is a great goal, and she is supposed to be at trainings, and I'm a huge fan. I got to actually meet her. I was fortunate, but she's right here, just a little bit north of us. So
Yeah.
we will be watching her schedule like a hawk. I did talk to our department about maybe having her come and do a training specifically for us, like our agency, and maybe regionally or whatever it takes to
Yes.
make that work. And you will have front stage, and I would love to send this to her. I don't know if that's possible, but I really
imagine.
Oh, I would love it. I
gonna-
would love it. I'd be honored.
right.
The woman knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's doing, and she helps. And she really helped me. I can attest to that.
And it's from a book, from her words written in a book. The power of words, that once we know what it meant, I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So, any
I
other?
know that feeling.
Yeah, miracles. We love them.
Well, that like you like realize like something clicks because someone read something to you.
Oh yeah. What was yours? What was yours?
Well, it was just the other night actually. It was like the personality quiz.
Yeah.
It was like she was talking about the like Enneagram, like numbers 1 through 9
Okay.
thing. You probably don't know anything about it, but just talking about what number they thought I was.
Oh,
And
for
then, like, what that
personality?
is just like clicks and like, oh my god, that's exactly
The personality type.
personality that I am. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've done personality type things too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's been
Like
a
the
while.
question one that we just did, the 19 questions,
Yeah.
9 questions,
Yeah.
something like that.
I don't remember. Like one's a professor, one's whatever those.
Oh,
the architect.
Yeah.
Architect. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah.
I can't remember what mine is. That's my problem. Is I
But like,
never can
if you talk about the
remember.
numbers, you should look it up. It's like, I think it's called the Enneagram or something like that.
I think we've done that before.
I'm a 9.
I don't know what that even
So-
means. We'll have to look at it.
Yeah, you have to look at it because it's
Yeah.
very fascinating.
Maybe we
and
could put that in our hot links for the podcast.
maybe
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
Personality 9.
Because like it is, you like there's the 9 personalities, right? So it's very similar.
Okay.
To like the personality quizzes and stuff, but it's a little bit more scientific and like no questions. Like you have to read it, find which one clicks, and that's what you
That's
are.
who you are. Okay. Clicks good.
Because if it is you, you'll have the oh my god kind of reaction. Like that is me, you know.
That moment where
Yeah.
realization.
And that was us that night
Yeah,
reading
that's what it
through the
sounds
book.
like.
It was like,
absolutely.
oh my God. But the greatest thing about that night, we didn't get interrupted. Do you realize that?
We didn't.
We read that entire Burnout section without getting interrupted.
That is absolutely
That's really
true.
funny.
That absolutely is true.
And
And the
right?
I forgot about. I didn't. Now that you say that, yeah. And gosh, that's amazing. We did not get interrupted at all. I mean, we read a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Like how many pages is that?
it's like 10 pages.
That's quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
And for us to not get interrupted, those phones.
it's miraculous.
And like, did you guys read it and discuss it as well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We did actually. When we went over the 10 burnout symptoms, there was a pause there while we were like,
Yeah, I might need a moment.
Did somebody say burnout?
Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, how long have we been going?
hour and 30 minutes. 30 minutes is probably us goofing around at the beginning.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if we want to call it.
yeah, we probably do. So I want to thank our special, extra special first guest,
First guest. Yep.
Aw.
Tracey Komisar. Thank you for listening to Echo of Connections. You can find us on Audible, on Amazon, Spotify, our YouTube channel, iTunes, and anywhere else you can find your favorite podcast. You can check out behind the scenes, bio of our guests, and blog entries on our website at echoofconnections.com. Goodbye, and thank you for listening.